Yes, according to the experts on climate change affects everything. It's even bringing about Brolar Bears. Now, you might be wondering what a Brolar Bear is. What it is, it's something we've known about for a while, and my slides don't seem to be forwarding here. Let me see if...
Anything working?
No,
Is it frozen?
it's frozen, has it? No,
Try seeing if you can go down to the bottom corner and see if it'll go across that way.
There we go.
We got it.
Right, yes. What's a Brolar Bear? Well, in fact, it's a hybrid between a brown bear and a polar bear. And these have been known about for quite a while. In fact, we first wrote about them back in about 2006, I think. They're well known in, this is well known in zoos. And the interesting thing is the hybrids are fertile. So the hybrids are given all sorts of names. Brolar bears. Another name actually is Grolar bears, because there is a type of brown bear called a grizzly bear, which is actually a brown bear. It's just some brown bears go rather grey in their old age, just like people. And an old term for going grey is grizzled. So grizzly bears, so Grolar bears. Or some people want to put the polar bears in front and call them pizzly bears. But either way, brown bears and polar bears are fertile, and the offspring... Oh dear, we seem to have frozen again.
Try using your left and right key.
Yes, I'm doing that.
Are you trying on your keyboard itself?
Oh, there we go. Right. It's just being slow this morning. I don't know why, but anyway. So brown bears and polar bears can interbreed, produce fertile offspring, and the hybrids are a sort of varied colour. We need to remember that brown bears are not universally dark. Some of them are quite sort of a light golden brown. So the hybrids are either a light brown or a patchy brown. But they are fertile, and they can go back and breed with brown bears again. So again, you've got this mixing of genes and maintaining of fertility, which should give us a clue about something that we read in the Bible. Now, why is this linked to climate change? Well, these bears are becoming more prominent these days. There are more of them, and the reason for that is that the general geographic range for polar bears and brown bears is actually quite close, and it does overlap. So as the Arctic territories are warming up, the brown bears are moving further and further north, and so there are more opportunities for polar bears and brown bears to meet up. And this has the conservationists and the evolutionists quite worried. Here are a couple of quotes from the Science News report that we reported from. This is from Science Alert. Polar bear numbers are already expected to plummet as sea ice melts. That's a standard story that's being told by the climate change people for quite a long time. If you talk to the people who actually live with the polar bears, they'll tell you that the numbers aren't plummeting. But anyway, let's go on. But experts are now worried that any remaining individuals will see their genetics diluted by hybridization. So we have diluted bears. But what they're really worried about is that they might disappear altogether. Some studies estimate polar bears could be close to extinction by 2100. So if any of you are around then, I don't think I will be, but on this earth anyway, to see that. But you can see whether they're false prophets or not. That does relate to an article that was originally published in Nature. But anyway, save for a few lonely subpopulations in the highest reaches of the Arctic, and if enough of them interbreed with brown bears, the pure species could disappear even sooner. Now, is that really a problem? Well, the bears themselves have proven that this is not actually a problem, because they really are one kind. The fact that they can breed together and have fertile offspring, which can then breed with either the brown bears or with each other and produce successive generations, they are all one kind. The Ursus kind, the technical names for bears are Ursus. Some of you may be familiar with some star constellations called Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. That just means the bear. So what's the problem here? Why can't we just let bears be bears? So if we can come back to us, if anyone would like to add something before we go on to the next little story.
I've got one thought,
You've been to
particularly,
Canada
Diane.
and those sort of northern areas.
I'll just make one comment here. Having been in the north of Alaska, having interacted with the
Yes.
bears, sometimes been chased by them, otherwise followed their purple poops. Yes, they have purple poops because they largely eat berries in the
Yes.
summer, being vegetarian, and occasionally will eat meat. But in reality, what you'll find is even if you bring the polar bears to a warm country like Australia, and we have this on our website in the Q&A section, you will find that even in the big zoos, the polar bears don't have any trouble dealing with the heat. They have their water there, and the zoos, of course, feed them blocks of ice. Goes with the northern climate mentality, but in the ice are bits of frozen fruit. Now, Diane, do you want to comment on that frozen fruit bit?
Oh, yes, I looked up the website for a place called SeaWorld, which is actually in Queensland on the Gold Coast, so it's quite a warm place, and they have polar bears there. And every now and again you'll see in the news that some company that wants a bit of free publicity donates so many tons of ice to the polar bears. But if you look on their polar bear web pages, where each bear has its name and a little bit about its personality, and one of the things they list is favourite foods. And the favourite foods include things like watermelons. And they do actually deliberately feed them vegetables so that they have a less high-fat diet, because like all mammals, they can vary the amount of subcutaneous fat they have. They can also vary the thickness of their fur, so they can cope with a warm climate quite well. And as you say, all bears like swimming, and polar bears particularly like swimming. And if you notice the name for the scientific name for polar bears, Ursus maritimus, they live on the coast and they like swimming. So not a problem for bears to live in warm climates in those situations, and certainly they're not obligate carnivores. They'll basically eat whatever they can. They're really scavengers, even out in the wild, and in zoos they feed them quite a diet that's quite high in vegetables, and they love it. Favourite food, watermelons.